He'll personally handle all office matters today. She leaned against his back, asking for a quick rest. The young man couldn't stop thinking about the girl's breasts pressing softly against him. He couldn't go on like this. He had to build the magical tower. The boy opened his eyes, finding himself on the floor. He scanned his surroundings, lost and surrounded by people. A bearded old man appeared, arms wide, declaring the challenge a success. People cheered the victory. Others sat stunned on the floor. Ragan Akistas, chief magician, welcomed the otherworlders. He says powerful magic summoned them. Shocked, people realized they'd been transferred to a new world. The old man knows their past lives and apologizes for summoning them. He warned that anyone returning would face certain death, leaving the crowd completely stunned. Ragona said they only call those near death. He asked who remembered what happened to him before their transfer. The main character realized the bus went off the cliff. Magician says they're still alive, adding summon to their world gains special power. He's sure everyone will love the new abilities. One wields ice, another bends gravity, and the last is a perfect paladin. Everyone flexed their powers. Now, it was his turn. Raising his hand, he calmly told them to stay focused. Ragona mused. The young man asked if he was okay. Ragona replied. He'd never seen such power, leaving the main character gaping. His power is construction company, leaving the wizard completely baffled. Everyone was shocked as one guy mocked him, calling the company as simple as his father's firm, leaving the rest confused and demanding answers. Ragona asked Takanogi what was wrong. He replied it resembled carpentry, a company handling design, woodworking, construction. He patted Kaneshita's shoulder, telling him not to be upset, it was profitable. But Kaneshita despaired. Fencing training starts. The instructor explains. Get used to the sword. The MC hates it, his face showing pure dissatisfaction. While swords are basic for most, Kinoshita finds them impossible to handle. The girl and Take No G effortlessly slice through the enemy. The knight marvels at their agility, enjoying their quick, skillful moves. He still doesn't get why a wizard needs a sword, and another guy agrees. Next, magic training begins. Ragona explains move mana inside to use magic. Kino should be followed her advice for a light discharge. The ice user cast Ice Room as the Gravity Master unleashed Gravity Sphere. Ragana praised the result. Every summon has unique talents. He studied his new lightning. He looked at his companions, chatting carefreely, without a worry. He didn't belong. The lead knight called a break and headed to the dining hall. Everyone headed out. The main character stayed behind, walking alone. Suddenly, he heard someone nearby grumble about wasted time. He spotted a group patching a hole in the barn wall. The movie hooked Shita. Confused by the gear, the men were helpless as every move backfired. They sighed in relief and rested as the young man watched closely. He grabbed the tool and inspected the hole in the wall. Suddenly, his body acted on its own first. It sawed wood. I grabbed the boards and patched the hole. He worked quickly, like it was nothing. The kid was stunned by the chaos. The three men returned to find the hole already patched. Everyone gathered in the dining room, enjoying dinner. But the young man has no appetite, just aimlessly fiddling with his food. He stood up, approached Kista, and asked what happened. Kinoshita knows he's useless in battle and asks for another task. The wizard scratched his beard, thinking, Grandpa told him not to worry. Support is vital, but their light armor makes them the first to fall. Another way out of the kingdom. The boy yelled, demanding answers as the class erupted in fury. The wizard saw the hero had zero magic and trash skills, crushing the boy. Yamanaka defended the boy, insisting he could build something. The others defended him, arguing they couldn't just call someone in and throw them out. Sensing the tension, the old man promised no one would abandon Kinoshita. He can survive the wilderness, full of magical beasts. She knows he's trying to get rid of him, but he lies and denies everything. Kino clenched his fists and demanded another way. Ragona admitted he'd been thinking about this for ages. He announced the young man new master of the fortress gallery. The boy froze in shock. The man promised pay and an assistant, leaving the military to the fortress residence. The old man asked if he liked the deal. Kinocity's comrades rushed him, greeting and offering advice. He thanked Kist, then called his assistant, raising his hand to hail him. Charming girl entered, introduced herself as Karan McWell, the fort owner's new assistant. Her beauty froze the boys. Jaws dropped. Konoichi politely greeted her. She bowed low to her future boss. The cart rumbles forward. Kinoshita hitches a ride, perched on a plain box. The cart hit a pothole, jolting the boy's entire body. Kuran checked on the gentleman. He replied, he wasn't used to riding carriages. She suggests healing magic for his pain. She knows basic healing. Smiling, he asked her for help in real pain. She demanded he take off his pants. Shocked, the hero asked what was happening, but she instantly told him to drop his pants again. Kina refused, insisting she touch the wound, but the guy resisted. Kuran was baffled, wasn't he in pain? He was just too embarrassed to show his butt. She didn't force him, just warned health problems shouldn't affect his work. The boy understood and Karen smiled. She called him over just as the carriage jolted on the stones. The boy fell onto the Quran, surprising them both. The boy snuggled against the girl's chest. He jumped up to apologize, but she calmed him and told him to stay. Then she slid her hand into his pants. Sheeta tried to break free, but she barked an order for him to stay put. She chanted, quickly healing his back. She asked how he felt. He replied he felt warmer. She awkwardly said not to think she was flirting. He hurried to deny it. She just smiled, knowing boys have their own reactions. Meanwhile, the young man mentally admitted. He felt a burning in his navel. Kuran instantly knew mana gathered there. Mana builds inside you, ready for magic to unleash. Unaware he was surging with mana, the girl remained lost in thought. Perrin senses their powers merging and pumps in even more mana. He tried to stop her, but she insisted it was her job, telling him to focus on the manifestos. But the hero couldn't understand how anyone could focus in such chaos. A blinding light engulfed everything. The grooms and horse froze in shock. The platform praised his magic use. Boy slept girl. Surprised 18, but still just a boy. Watching her boss sleep, she knew she had to give it her all. Carriage nears Galerie Fortress. The boy S surprised by its size, expecting something smaller. Karan explains it's the western outpost, only a few monsters meet here. But the fortress isn't strategically important. The stranger sits writing until night bursts in with a report. He reports the new fortress master arrives soon. Girl grabbed report, announced it's time to meet the new boss. Kinoshita stepped from the carriage and heard hurried footsteps approaching. A stranger approached, introducing herself as General Arietta Paimon and reaching out to greet him. The boy introduced himself with a handshake. The general scanned him. He looked local, but his dark hair and weird clothes stood out. She told him not to be weirded out. She'd just never seen someone summoned from another world. Knights feared Kina Shito Koran explained the province's people fear anything unfamiliar. Arietta asked what ability he got after summoning. He says his specialty is construction, so she assumes he's a carpenter. He agrees, explaining his magic builds everything instantly. She asked him to show her. He agreed instantly. At the training ground, Shita and Arietta squared off for their duel while the others watched closely. The young man tries building a wall here. He reached out, knowing he had to memorize that wheelchair feeling at any cost. He needed it. 10 minutes pass, riders grew bored. She asked how much longer. He replied his time was almost up. He made a concrete block, stunning Arietta. He began building a wall. Everyone watches in shock, jaws dropped. The wall is massive. After the fall, the boy asked if he won. The general nodded. She examined the wall the Lord conjured, but Kinoki cautioned her the wall was low. She touched it, and it instantly fell. Arietta apologized, ordering everyone back to work. Kinoshita grinned and clenched his fists, finally trusting his power. Perron sits at the table, pondering Takasu Kanochi too. She remembers their every moment. She sees a weak puppy, no sword, no charm, and zero talent. She never expected him to unleash so many Maras, or that the power would answer her call so perfectly. She knew this happens to those who deeply connect. Is this the called's true strength? She couldn't understand. Bright sunlight engulfed her. Warm, massive arms pulled her close. Inside, her hands were completely hidden. Waking, the girl watched longer. The maid called him for breakfast, but he rose looking like a zombie. Terrified, she apologized and bolted. The boy begged her to stay and sat on the bed next to a bowl of water. Kinoshita washed his face and looked up to find a breakfast tray. He reached for the bread, then suddenly changed course. He donned glasses. He spotted a door reeking of a disgusting stench. The stench is definitely in the bathroom. He flings the door open. Inside, a terrible sight awaited them. Kenosha slammed the door and bolted. He stumbled into the corridor, collapsing on the floor. A foul smell hung everywhere, making the boy feel sick. He finally saw what he'd missed, how amazing everyday life truly is. Suddenly, a girl spots him. She rushed over to check on him, and the boy turned to face her. A beautiful girl stood before him, nervously eyeing his pale face. Kenosh said he felt unwell. The girl handed him a handkerchief. He thanked her. She couldn't leave him alone, so she asked if he needed help. She hadn't seen him before, assuming he was a new employee, but he explained he was the fortress's new owner. The girl confusedly asked if he was the owner, then it hit her, and her jaw dropped. She leaped to safety, bowed, and begged the owner for forgiveness. Lulu Dor's servant introduced herself, apologizing for not recognizing him. The girl kept begging him. Kaneshita reassured her, admitting he felt better thanks to her, and thanked her. Lulu stood, surprised by the boy. Her cheeks flushed. Under her sharp gaze, he felt something was on his face. The maid claimed the summoned ones were monsters, but the MC just sighed at the rumors. Lulu Dora claimed he's not scary. She saw he was kind, polite, and fragile. Confused, he asked again, but she just shrugged and played dumb. Lidora begged to serve as his maid in his chambers. She's not afraid, ready to serve sincerely. The guys stared at her voluptuous breasts, but he agreed. She thanked him and rushed off. He shouted about her scarf, but she'd already vanished. He still couldn't get her charms out of his head. The familiar smell returned from the bathroom. The fortress was beautiful outside, but gloomy, dusty, and reeked of age inside. Shita can live here, consumed by despair. He knows things must change now, starting with this foul stench. First, he builds a toilet to bring back some modern convenience. Karen walked fortress corridors, clutching documents. She sighed. She flashes back to a recent work incident. A man congratulates her on her promotion. He ominously smirked, calling his new role as fortress secretary pure luck. She irritably snapped an emotional thanks for the greeting. Walking the rope, I suddenly realized it wasn't an elevation. She neared Kenoshi Tatsu's office door. The assistant knocked, burst in, and announced she was here. She couldn't greet him, instantly spotting him doing something on the floor. Karan stared in shock as the boy beamed with more joy than ever. He agreed, adding he'd build a toilet without even looking up from his work. It dawned on him. He sprang to his feet. The girl flinched. He asked if he needed a permit, but the assistant told him to just start as long as he cleared it with him personally. The hero doesn't realize he's the protagonist. Kenosh asked his duties. The girl smiled, suggesting he rest after his journey. She'd explain everything tomorrow. He wanted to return to his business, but the girl wouldn't leave. He glanced at her over his shoulder. The hero asked for updates, and she revealed Ayin Luludori wanted to be his maid. He agreed, but asked for help navigating the confusing paperwork. Karan asked a risky question, so the mistress smiled and offered him a night with that maid. The hero denied everything, totally clueless. Surprised, the girl wondered if it's a lie. Why is the boss so flustered? Kinoshita said it wasn't like that. He chose her because she seemed sincere and good. Karan agreed, bowed, and offered help, telling him to call if needed, then calmly left. Alone, he realized she catches people off guard. He eyed the wall, picking his toilet spot. The hero begins analysis. He shut his eyes, locking in. He visualized his room down to the smallest detail, perfectly recreating the entire space in his head. He should move the toilet for more space. To kill the stench, he installs a siphon and divides the space. Was his skill making everything this easy? He snapped his eyes open. He immediately got to work building. He magically built all day. He collapsed. He collapsed to the floor, gasping that he had nothing left. He glanced at the bathroom door, stage 1 complete. A knock at the door. Lulu Dora stood there, happily announcing pajamas. The maid gasped, seeing the gentleman on the floor. This is 9 words. Original is 16. So 7 words cut. The rule is 2 5-words. This is too much. She rushed over, asking what happened and fearing he was sick. The hero's fine, he just drained his mana. Blue Ludora warned him to stop overworking. Her lap became his pillow. Her chest pressed against his face. The hero blushed as the maid took his hand and whispered for him to rest. She said rest refills mana, but the hero tried to speak up. She cuts him off, telling him not to worry, she's by his side now. She'll offer her knees as a pillow and an oil massage. Inochita called himself a bad host, but Luludora instantly shut him down. 12 words. Kinochita called himself a bad host, but Luludora shut him down. Sunlight flooded the room as the hero slowly woke. He shot out of bed, only then noticing it was morning. He suddenly regained strength. Suddenly, he sat beside Karan as she scribbled away in the office. He gave his assistant the documents. She checked them, confirming all was correct. Karan confirmed all tasks were done. The young man couldn't believe his ears. She offered the fortress inspection protocol to seal the deal, but the hero refused. Perron finished the job and asked to leave as the boy thanked her. Door slammed behind the girl. He jumped to his feet and returned to the toilet. Kenosita relentlessly fixes the toilet. Something was wrong with this sewage. It surged past every obstacle, and he knew his power caused it. Lulidora exited the Master-S room. Karan asked his status. She replied still working, but soon sleeping. Assistant surprised Tom still tinkered with the toilet maid, confirmed hero built walls, laid pipes himself, despite easily calling Earth mages. The girl realized he was genuinely good, always striving for perfection. Karen knew he wouldn't get far like this. She slumped, lost in sad thoughts. Her life's dreams and goals spun in her head. Fifth day. They heard the master shout his success. They locked eyes and peered inside. Karan pressed Kinoka for answers. He grinned, announcing his morning tasks were already done. Lulidora greeted him, thanking Karan. Hero gathered the girls to show his craft. They entered the prepared room ahead. A wardrobe held laundry baskets and bottles. The boy declared this his bathroom. The girls, stunned, gaped. Tiled floors, a bright mirror, and a sofa sat near a table of fresh flowers. Perron thought it was a temple, but the hero revealed it's a murder room leading straight to the bathroom. A sweet scent filled the room, and Kenochi explained it was a green tea diffuser. He revealed his cosmetic shelf. Even if he used every drop, it would instantly refill. The maid gaped, shocked this was a real bathroom, even fit for guests. He then suggested trying everything himself. He gave them a toilet tutorial. Karan leaned in to look when the lid slammed open, leaving her trembling in shock. He reassures them. Don't be afraid. Get closer. The lid opens. It's a hellish machine. Girls couldn't believe it, but the hero didn't let them enjoy it. He rushed them out the door, announcing the tour was over. Lulidora wants to stay longer, and Karen agrees, eager to explore. Kenosita confessed he couldn't take it anymore. Karan yelled to focus. They had to report to the king without shame, while the maid told the boy to rub his belly. The main character snapped and kicked the girls out. He stepped out grinning with satisfaction, but the maid's face instantly soured. He had no clue why she looked so miserable. Karan asked to use this miracle too. The young man offered the bathroom, and the girl marched there, ready for battle. 15 minutes later, she exits the bathroom and calls her husband, who instantly asks what happened. She screamed she could never use a regular toilet again. She blames him for the dangerous invention, but he shrugs, claiming he just built a normal bathroom from home. He announced girls use this restroom now, anytime. In return, they promised to aid him if he is in trouble. Karan straightened, her face hardened. She swore loyalty and sought his trust. The young man stepped out of the bathroom, met Karen, and shared a quick word. Today, check and sign all documents. If he needs her, just call. She's leaving anyway, right? He finally finished the setup and asked what to check. He reminded her he'd call for help, and now he wanted her side of the story. She demanded a 15-minute break. Hero agreed, but questioned the break. She replied she needed a bathroom break, listing her routine: bidet, soap, perfume, and more. He waved her off. Girl heads to restroom, boy reviews documents. The paper was total gibberish. Even weirder, the room was pitch black despite the bright midday sun. He scanned the room, not a single window in sight. It's just a hole, but better than nothing, tiny, likely to avoid drafts. You realized more windows would flood the room with light and make it way cozier. He stared at his palms. He clenched his fist. Something flashed into his hand. He knows what to do. The boy smashed his room's wall. He looked around, realizing his considerable height. He never imagined this height. Lulidora burst in, happily announcing she brought tea. The wall vanished, leaving her stunned. She asked where the wall was, stunned by the view, but the man warned her to stay back while he finished repairs. The young man trembled, watching the hole grow larger. The girl noticed he was agitated. She set the tray down and offered a break. The young man admitted he must finish everything today. Lulidora leaned back, inviting him to join her. The hero obsessed over the breasts gently pressed against his back. He shook off the thoughts, focused on his construction company. The maid was completely baffled by the window. She asked about the icy thing, he called it glass. He kept conjuring the window as she watched it expand like thickening ice. He reveals the ice is crystal clear, unbreakable, and heat-proof. Luludora asked how, but the boy just demanded release, making the girl hiss angrily. Perone heads to Kinoshidi's office, checks her papers, and knocks. She heads inside while the boy stands tall, proud of his work. She gasped, stunned. The western fortress loomed before her. The young man demolished the walls, replacing them with glass panels. The hero asked the Kuran's take and cheered his office was finally perfect. The girl froze. Surprised, Kinoshita calmed her, saying not to worry. It wasn't empty. He tapped the glass. The assistant stares mesmerized at the transparent wall. The hero's thrilled, but he hasn't even unlocked his true power yet. She faced the gentleman. She wanted him to repeat it elsewhere. The hero agreed to her room rules, shocking her with his quick acceptance. He'd do it later, not right now. He still needs to work on the lighting and tidy the bathroom. Karen offered a grateful nod. Eyes down, she faced the boy. Seeing her sadness, he immediately offered to make her window first. She quietly replied she didn't mean that. The hero stares, confused by her words. Karan smirked, realizing they'd underestimated him. The boy begged her not to make things awkward. Assistant asks the boy to join her in Rosalia, the capital. She knows the toilets and windows will wow the king and nobles, making him the people's favorite. She asked the guys for their take. Zayim grinned, deciding to work here first. He's still needed here and has big plans ahead. Karen smiled, his face beaming. She agreed with him. Huge windows made the view pleasant, but exposed the whole office. She thinks the security is a joke. He told her not to worry, he'd already planned for everything. He grabbed a mysterious remote. The girl didn't get it. So the young man showed her by example. Hero pressed one button, blinds instantly sealed the view. The hero demonstrated, hero pressed cut, the ati demonstrated 2 words, just press one button. They rejected the Quran. Kinoshita explains these are automatic blinds, simple. He spots 4 light switches. He asked his blank-faced assistant what happened, and she calmly said she wanted those windows. The cinematographer stands by the table, marveling at the view after windows installed. He crushed it, his soul beaming with joy. He realized the bathroom needed windows too. A window with blinds offers ventilation, convenience, and style, but it's not very safe. He considered a fixed window for sanctification, but it wouldn't open. Then, a genius idea hit him. He checked the system screen and spotted blind windows. Kinokita was shocked, unable to grasp the panel's origin. He realized this was another power, a catalog with every material and repair guide. He eyed all furniture, he liked everything, and he needed all of it. Karan entered the office to announce today's plans. She stopped, seeing the boss browse a furniture catalog, cute and confused like a puppy. The girl urged the boy to report what he saw to the mayor. It's his first official meeting, and he's terrified. The girl warned him not to stray far from security. He couldn't grasp why this happened. She said an unfounded rumor spreads otherworlders' hair cures all diseases. Kinoshita called it nonsense, but the girl noted they were in the province. She said to leave if he behaves, all goes well. The heroes enter the village, and the boy asks about the population. Karen replied 2,000 people were there, mostly minors. Birth rates here are tanking. He realized that's exactly why he got this fortress. He looked out the window and locked eyes with a resident. Terrified, they flinched and scattered. The hero saddened, the assistant noticed. Locals fear conscripts, but he's safe. She tells him to ignore it. Before he could say he'd try, a sudden scream cut him off. A mob encircled the girl, driving her out, branding her cursed. Dressed in rags and confused, she tried to hide from the crowd. Hero demanded answers, Karen replied. She's Ulan family. This noble clan sees the future and heals the sick. The West fears them as harbingers of doom, but the East worships them. A man pushed the girl. The powerful shove made her fall. The girl grabbed her things. Everyone glared at her with disgust. She didn't understand, so they acted fast and raised an axe over her. Kinoshita couldn't stand by, rushing to help the girl. Karan caught another lead and bolted after it. Everyone stared at the boy's weird hair, baffled that he was called Sir. Realizing he was summoned, they panicked. Everyone scattered in every direction. Hero looked around, declared it was all wrong. He turned to the girl he saved and asked if she was okay. Shaken, she thanked him for saving her. Karen and Kaneshita watched the frozen girl, realizing her giggling was just a defense mechanism for the scared. She'd just spooked him. Crouching down, he introduced himself. Girl repeated his name. Hero said he was 18. The stranger, Satya Mushiya, was also 18. Hero was glad they were the same age. Satya revealed she's from the Yulon clan, and the boy recognized the name. She asked if he was scared. He said she wasn't scary. Everyone feared him too. Satya didn't understand why he was good. He revealed he's from another world. He asked, scared? She shook her head. Sheeta smiled warmly, happy. The girl blushed at his smile. He thought she was local, but she was just a traveler gathering herbs. Seeing her starving body, the hero went silent. He yelled she was hurt, needed urgent care. Seth moved to object. He stood firm, warning that you can be so reckless. She blushed, making the boy think she was hurting until Karen revealed it was just nerves. She nodded. He apologized for his behavior. She countered, she should apologize for her audacity. Kinochi urged her to speak simply, as peers. Set Yua thinks the hero acts like a royal with his servant, but is he actually a local noble? Crone warns time's running out. Hurry. Stunned, she asked again, so he pointed to the fortress and claimed it as home. Satya collapsed. Karen suggested ditching her, but the boy refused to leave her behind. The hero carried her inside, laid her on the sofa, and asked his assistant what happened. She replied the girl was just exhausted. She's come far, she needs rest, strength, then she'll wake. The young man agreed with his friend. Karen asked for a quick rest to use the restroom. He remembers searching for shelter, food, and a wash for the girl, but residents refused help. The young man realized everyone around feared the spear-bearers. He swung the bathroom door open to find Lulu Dora, leaving him frozen in shock. The girl gasped in shock. He flinched, seeing Einstein on the toilet, lifting her panties. She calmly stared at him. I blushed in shock, totally clueless, as she stared back with her jaw dropped. Her scream, hands over ears, sent birds scattering. He flushed, ashamed, and apologized. She grabbed her cheeks, yelling, he should be warned her he was back. Karan rushed out with a knife, screaming for answers. Stunned by the restroom intruder, Aina demanded to know how she got in since no guests were expected. The young man justified entering the restroom, saying he knew I was there. Karan grew angrier, demanding how a mere servant dared use that restroom without permission. Aina scrambled for excuses, claiming she was only cleaning to avoid the assistant's cold stare. Karen pointed at Winston Payne, snapping that the maid knew staff were banned from this restroom but broke the rules anyway. He stepped in and confirmed he gave her permission. Kron eyed the boy suspiciously, demanding the truth. Carrie confirmed it, then asked Ina's opinion. Ina didn't understand, but the guy gestured wildly behind Kron, and his hints made her catch on. Ina agreed the owner gave permission. He added, she pointed out flaws to fix. Karen watched him closely. The assistant was shocked when the boy announced a secret room and asked for feedback. Karen asked if she was involved, and he confirmed, keeping the details hidden but promising a masterpiece. Perron smiled awkwardly and told him he could count on her, letting Tagaro and Ina relax as the tension vanished. Smiling, the boy ordered both girls to leave. The girls stared confusedly at the main character, asking why. Boy pointed at the restroom. Wanting in, Karan said they'd leave now, leading to the exit as I watched the boy. Ina leaned on the hero's shoulder and winked, making him blush. Tesero froze, stunned by her sudden move. The boy hummed as he entered the office, spotting Setia by the massive window. She stared down at the view, trembling slightly. Seeing the girl awake, the boy asked Ina for food and tea. Setia stared at her unexpected savior, surprised, and asked about the invisible wall. The boy, like the girl, leaned on the window, telling her it was just glass for protection, not a view. Blushing and trembling, she replied the room belonged to her master. They, ordinary people, had no place. Setia shuddered, remembering what she'd forgotten. She quickly bowed low, thanking her saviors. He smiled, telling her not to worry, as she replied that her wound was already healed. The girl replied she had to run, waved, and rushed off. But suddenly, Takaru's assistant blocked her path. Sati glared, making the girl gasp in fear. He saw the girl as a leopard hunting a mouse, a brutal symbol of the food chain, while he morphed into a tiny Spitz. Boy calmed Seti. "Tea here, help yourself." Ian smiled, serving tea and sandwiches, declaring it ready. Satya blushed nervously, claiming she didn't want tea, but her loud stomach growl proved she was starving. Shame-faced, she closed her eyes, trembling, and begged forgiveness, admitting she hadn't eaten in days, then burst into tears from the painful admission. He smiled, handing the girl a sandwich and offering a taste. She eyed the treat he held. She stared at the sandwich, hesitating, while the boy waited for her to grab it. She grabbed the sandwich, thanked it, and kept her eyes locked on it. Satya bit. Eyes lit up, manners forgotten. She devoured sandwich after sandwich, surprising the guy. Satya burst into tears but kept eating, sobbing that the sandwich was incredible. The heroes smiled in relief while she felt a twinge of envy toward Joy. Karo tracked the Eastern Ulan clan and asked the girl why she was there. Satya told the young man an elder woman sent her. The boy immediately asked who she was. The girl said a Yulun priestess warned, "Move west." "Satya, your true destiny awaits." Satya realized the priestess saw what no spearman could. Shocked, he asks if she saw the future, blushing. Satya whispers she's too young to see more than blurry fragments. He's instantly inspired, shouting that it's still incredible. Shyly, Sia admitted she just reached the fortress and never expected food this good. He wondered what would happen if he made a wish not involving her. She clarified what he meant, asking for an example. Takaru then suggested wishing for Seti. She blushed, trying to object. He interrupted with a question, feigning casualness despite feeling intrusive, but she disagreed. She stood up and agreed. Hand on her heart, Setia asked to reveal his fate. The girl explained clans predict future differently. Some see fate in reality, others need a trance. She then grabbed a pen and paper. Takiri asks how she feels. Satir says the prophecy was a trance. She scribbled everything down without understanding a word. Pressing fingers to her brow and clutching a pen, Setia prepared a massive reveal. Her forehead wrinkled as she slipped into a trance. She glowed, hair exploding as she scribbled. The girl wrote the letter lightning fast, amazing the heroes with her skill. Drenched and exhausted, Seti told the hero her notes were delivered. He reached out, thanked her, and asked if she was okay. He read the letter Saria and Takeru would stay together forever. He told her they'd be friends, and she agreed it was wonderful. Takaru added with his support, Setia can create medicine for the grand idea. Boy asked what it meant. Girl cleverly replied she didn't know, full of ideas for medicines she dreamed up. Sadly, the boy understood, then read from his notes. Their connection would be strong. The girl blushed, embarrassed. He read on, discovering their time bond was deepening. Suddenly, Sathya snatched the paper from his stunned hands as Ayini's ominous stare made him shudder. Confused, Takaru asked Sati what she meant. Her face twisted excitedly as she confessed writing nonsense. She bit the sheet and started devouring it as the crowd watched in total confusion. TFL lay face down, everyone watched the girl. Satya sat back down and bowed, apologizing for her behavior. He told her it was fine, hoping she'd finally calm down. He asked the girl her plans, and if she was heading west after a pause. I explained her injured leg made walking tough, and with no money, she'd gather herbs nearby. Kiro looked at his assistant sadly, and she slowly met his gaze. Karan asked if Sateja was an herbalist. Terrified, she nodded, whispering an old woman taught her. Karan noted they've used magic more often, and asked her to join preparations, but doubted work for her at the fortress. Care for yourself. Accept this Karan offer. I want you happy. He praised Karen's genius, calling her amazing, while she just smiled in relief. He pitched the deal for quick cash, reminding her it was their shot to craft the prophecy's medicine. Flustered, Satya thanked him and agreed, asking how to repay the favor. He waved her off, telling her to just gather herbs and rest. Satya teared up, asking why they were so kind. Haru just smiled, replying she was like him, that's why he helped. The girl wept, looking at her mentor. Karan cut in, apologizing as he asked to approve the girl's pay for the new hire. The guy froze, the girl panicked, and the assistant suddenly caught a foul stench. Karan teased her for smelling bad, asking when she last bathed, as a flustered Seth stammered an apology. Karan ordered a bath for the girl, but Satya protested the luxury. Karan snapped back if she wants the job, she has to look the part. Karan carried Seti out as she crawled, begging forgiveness. Takar watched, recalling the bath. The boy realized wash meant wiping with hot water, and the bath was toilet quality, horrifying him. He sat on the couch, debating a bathroom break, then grabbed the catalog for review. Alone in his office, Takeru still couldn't make a choice. After the bath, Anian entered with a candle and dressed the girl. Girl brought a candle as darkness fell. Aina praised the girl. "It's beautiful change." The boy agreed, asking about their nice outfits. Setia explained they were Aini-is. The boy then complimented her change, making. Set screamed, instantly pale, but the boy saw she remained herself. Ain asked the main character to turn on the light. He said it was early, but she countered it was late and getting dark. He understood, but wanted to show her something. Perone shared her plan for tomorrow, then asked why it was so dark. Surrounded by gloom, the boy replied. He just wanted to show them something. The piranha snarked what he to show the girls in the dark. Takara flinched, looking away, and mumbled the sun had set, changing the subject. The assistant asked what the boy wanted to show. Aina offered her hand for comfort. Seter found it calming, but the boy warned they were being too loud. Smiling, the main character told the girls to listen, he'd show them lightning. Ina asked if he meant his world, Sat's mysterious claws. With everyone handled, I smiled, invited the girls, and started the countdown. He counts to 1, and stylish lamps flood the room, stunning the girls with their modern design. Even Karan was stunned, looking around until the boy revealed this was the light. She entered his office, awestruck by Takeru's new invention. He happily watched her reaction. Karan trembled, clutching a paper and adjusting her glasses. This new light let her work any time. He felt proud, blushed, shyly scratching his nose. The girl noticed something, glared at Ain, approached the wall, and said she sees the dusty spots. Ain and Takaru, surprised by the problem, simultaneously sighed. Kron points out the dusty wall. Panicking, Aina apologizes and blames the darkness. Perone asked Ain about the darkness. She hinted at a secret, but the looming giants grew angry, demanding to know why she only cleans at night. Ain stayed silent and confused. Wait, Karan shouted. The girl deserved a brutal thrashing. I froze, stunned, tears streaming as I cried in despair. Takeretz also recoiled in horror at the cruel punishment. The boy calls the whip cruel, but Karen smirks, saying it's too soft and his mage will be an example for the workers. Surprised, the girl asks where he even got it. Assistant clutched the stick, warned Aina brace for punishment. Trembling and flushed, Aina lifted her skirt, whining for punishment as she glanced at Karan. Takeru dove into the nightmare, face red as he waved his arms and screamed for Miss Karen to stop. The boy grabbed her hand, warning punishment brings no good. Karan looked at him, called it his opinion, and demanded he release her. The girl added discipline works only with fear and pain. Takeru called it a skillful play on human fears, while Seti watched silently from the sidelines, never intervening. Karan replied, That's exactly what everything S built on, right? Fuming, he snapped that he'd never accept that punishment. The boy, confused, Karan met his eyes, demanding his reason. Aini stood nearby, also surprised at Takara. He argued corporal punishment destroys trust, hindering development. A lesson from teacher Nakamura, who taught kids not to fear power, but to reject fear's control. The boy insisted Ain is his servant, and only he decides her fate. Karan eyed the boy, setting aside her tools of punishment, and replied she understood. The boy stared, surprised, as she put away the whip. She suggests picking a punishment together. The boy stares. Then Karan orders Aina to scrub the room and military toilets alone. Karen showed the maid a love letter to confirm she understood. The girl sadly whispered yes, as Setia hid her face, making the boy ask what happened. Setia refused, saying it was too bright. Takaro asked if she meant his office, and she agreed. The MC understood and backed her up. Kaya confidently replied he had another impressive feat. Satya uncovered her face, curious what it was. He grabbed the remote, gave his approval, and pressed a button as the girl watched intently. He hits the button, spotlights flood the room, and the boy smirks while Setia freezes in shock. Her face snapped, mouth agape, eyes wide. She didn't grasp what happened. His mouth twisted into a diamond, leaving her speechless. She grabbed his hand, uneasy in the light, but Kiryu told her she was overreacting. Ain and Karen froze, confused, as the strange light made their hearts tremble. The girls caught the vibe and started clubbing with serious faces. I joined in, while Charon grabbed the headphones like a DJ and cranked the music, admitting she had no clue what was going on. Satya joined the dance, pleading for mercy, yet resisting the rhythm. Her tears flowed. Satya collapsed as the dance ended, so the boy begged Karen to heal her. Karen sighed, removed her headphones, and grumbled they were a hassle while Ina kept dancing carefree. Next morning, everyone split up. Setiel hunted for healing herbs, Karen grinded on her notes, and MC got back to work. At his exhaling desk, the guy finally calls it a day, sweeping everything off. Walking the street, he pitied Ina, now stuck cleaning toilets. He snapped out of it, grabbed the catalog, and flipped through, vowing to protect her as her owner. He flipped through the catalog on his bed, confident this page held what he sought. Boy entered service area, rummaged cabinets, then yelled, "Here it is!" Hyped by the massive wardrobe, he couldn't have picked just one. Takaru pointed to the tablet, admitting he spoiled his maid, hoping Lady Karan wouldn't scold him. As he scrolled his tablet, Ina reminded him his bath was ready. He froze, realizing he'd completely forgotten bath day. Blushing, he promises to be right there, hyped for his first real bath since moving as he bolts out. The hero and maid entered the bathroom, finding warm water ready and steam filling the air. Boy froze, surprised, then glanced at the girl who'd already ordered the clothes left. Karu thanked her. Girl nodded. Boy asked if she had more. I stared curiously, replying she'd help the MC wash up. Her words stunned the boy. He objected. Issa can wash herself. Confused. She claimed it was her duty, that's sis. How it is done here. Flinching, the boy asked to skip the rule, but Ina refused. She didn't want Karan scolding her again. Trembling, she knew the whip was coming after seeing the assistant's face. She tearfully asked if Kara pitied her, and blushing, he admitted he'd agreed to it. He told her to drop the mournful tone Ain, hand over mouth, called it a harsh truth, faintly smiling as he replied to avoid her scrutiny. Anna smiled again, blushing as she agreed with the boy. The girl sneaked up and suddenly told him to strip. The boy blushed, tempted to push her away. The maid replied she'd help the hero, grabbing his belt and unfastening it. The girl took off the boy's outerwear as he looked away or closed his eyes, hiding his embarrassment. As Ina unbuttoned his shirt, the guy burned with shame, unable to grasp this humiliation. He recalled his one shame. In elementary school, he brought his new scarf and Sister S panties to class, and classmates mocked him relentlessly. He felt awkward as she undressed him, knowing he could do it himself, but he suddenly snapped out of it. He realized he'd always have to take off his underwear. Panicked, he frantically searched for a towel, head whipping side to side. Girl noticed boy acting strange, grabbing the towel, then asked what happened. He told her to close her eyes. I thought he was shy, but he had other plans. She tried to peek, but he caught her instantly. Ain finally shut them tight and promised not to look. Her eyes snapped open, vowing to look only at his radiant face. The boy, embarrassed by the words, flushed. He stripped to a towel, turned to the girl, and noticed something strange. Amy untied her apron and started undressing. Takaro screamed, red-faced, clutching his face, demanding what she did. The girl undressed, the bewildered boy backed away to the wardrobe. Surprised, the girl refused to strip, not understanding his weird behavior. The boy fidgeted as her dress slipped to the floor, causing him to grab his face and shout for Ain. The maid stood in her underwear, reaching out her hand to invite the boy to follow. He grabbed her hand as she warned him not to slip. Blinded by thick fog, he prayed the girl wouldn't spot him as he pushed toward Vanya. Believing he was unseen, the boy quickly composed himself, clearing his mind. As she prepped the bath, he scanned the room. Tucker found everything simple, Aini, surprised, thought it was lavish. He asks if the town shares a bath, but she says they use the city's public bathhouse. The boy got interested, asking if he should go, since there was plenty of space. I immediately warned him not to even think about it. Surprised, the boy asked why not. Sadness filled her face. She whispered everything there was. Bad. Aina tested the water, called it perfect, and told the hero to jump in. He sank into the tub, pillowed his head, and kicked back in pure bliss. Boy stared at his hands, asking the girl where the water came from. Ina replied, water and fire mages specially prepared it for Tukar. The girl saw only 6 people working on the bathhouse, saying their efforts deserved respect. The boy asked if wizards heated the city bathhouse. They refused. They claim a stove heats the room. She heard wizards control the temperature, but thought that only happened in rare places. Upset he couldn't go to the bathhouse, he looked at his hands, but the cheerful maid offered a back massage, telling him to get up. He stood as she scrubbed his back. Blushing, he shut his eyes and waited for her to finish. Ina asks if he's hurting, but he smiles and insists he's perfectly fine. The girl soaped the boy, inching closer to his chest. The boy flinched. She slapped him. She'd handle the front line alone. She burst into tears, asking if he'd really spank her and calling him rude. He looked away, covering up and swearing he'd never do it. The maid suddenly hugs the guy tight from behind, cheerfully telling him to relax. Confused, he tries to stop her, asking where she's going. The girl slyly noted his modesty. He replied, it was impossible to go. She pointed out he was with her, irritably. 30 minutes later, Ain dried the boy's head. He felt annoyed yet grateful, insisting he wasn't worthy of her kindness. Remembering the past, he invited her to his room tonight. Ina blushed, stunned by the request, but he quickly told her she could say no. Ina blushed, clasped her hands, and promised to get ready for the evening. Dry now, the boy thanked her. She called him a rascal while hiding a smile, leaving Karu totally confused. That evening, the girl entered the gentleman's room and announced her arrival. Confused, I greeted the girl's Vaved had waited for her, reproachfully asking about her long absence. She apologized, explaining her delay was making the bed. Ain clenched her angry fist, realizing her joy was for nothing. The gentleman invited her. Karan saw her change, consumed by anxiety. Kar, pleased everyone gathered, announced his company's new project presentation was open. Confused, the girls still cheered for his performance. He yanked off the canvas, finally revealing his stylish sideboard to everyone. The girls stared at the gentleman, confused. Awkward silence fell, and the boy grew embarrassed. MC lets Ina, scrubbing toilets all day, open the door. She was thrilled by the honor, but didn't know why her. Asked to open it accurately, he praised her honor and kept her as his personal maid. Aine and Satya teared up at the host's kindness, while Karan watched in confusion. Takeru sat by the buffet and waved her over, teasing a secret. Intrigued, she rushed to his side. She opened the doors, revealing more. You ask what's inside, the MC says it has a fridge and wants to open it. Everyone watched the girl open the new doors. Ina was stunned to find the fridge packed with food. Karu reveals the fridge is packed with treats from his world. Kuran is done with surprises, but Setya's already sneaking a peek inside. Grabbing the candies, he remembered saving them to share. Ina asked about the bottles, and he pointed out the cola and energy drinks. Charan grabbed another bottle. Vanya called it champagne, and the girl instantly asked what it was. The boy said it was sparkling alcohol. The girls were intrigued by his confession. Smiling and blushing, they cheered a party today. Order any dish. The boys set the table and sat together, digging into sweets from another world. Taikeru went to open the drinks as Ina called out. He grabbed a cola for the first time in ages, but the maid rushed over, begging for a taste. He asked his assistant what she wanted. She chose champagne. He ordered it online, and she agreed, but added she already felt good. Flustered, the boy cheered her up, telling her not to be shy. She hesitated, then admitted she wanted to taste the champagne too. Couldn't find him, so I asked the girl if she liked alcohol. She smiled, eyes closed, confessed she loved it, then apologized. He's shocked the Yuland clan drinks at 10, half the age of his world. He asks if she wants to grow up, but she shyly refuses. Everyone filled glasses. The boy raised a toast. The heroes clinked glasses, declaring they'd drink it all to the bottom. The girls were ecstatic. Ina's first cola sip exploded in her mouth. Incredibly delicious, she declared. The young man loved her words. Satya and Karan were astonished by the champagne's sparkling bubbles, and after the first sip, both shyly blushed. Karan admitted it was his first time as Syria ordered another round. He poured the drinks, telling the girls to enjoy the moment. In an hour, all the alcohol was empty, the table bare. Satya cried, chugging beer, begging forgiveness. Noticing she was getting loud, he asked if she was tipsy. She shook her head, swearing she was sober, but he knew she was lying. She stared him down and told him to listen. Shaken by her glare, he nervously asked what happened. Rosy-cheeked and shy, the focused girl confessed her love. The boy blushed, thanking her. Setya then confessed she liked him since he saved her, risking himself, and shyly looked down. Everything finally clicked for her, but the confused boy just asked what she meant and stepped back. She sternly replied she'd die for him. Seti's eyes clouded, confirming the truth. Her voice faltered. The girl fell asleep on the boy's lap, snoring softly. Watching them, Ina realized she liked him. He caught her staring and asked why, only to realize they were both thinking the same thing. The main character recalled his struggles. The girl smiled and admitted she loves causing trouble. Boy didn't get it, so girl asked what's wrong while Karan just sipped his beer. He saw his assistant next to a pile of empty champagne bottles and beer cans. The boy, surprised, asked if she'd drink it all herself. The girl confidently said yes and asked for more. Noticing her love for drinking, the main character, confused, suggested stopping. But she knocked over her beer and chair, loudly refusing. Karan burst into tears, demanding more, tossing her glasses and leaping off the sofa. He shoved Seti off his knees, and Ine laughed, tears streaming, as his assistant acted like a huge, unruly child. Karan hugged him and leaned in, asking for another can. Her actions left the guy totally stunned. Takaru grabbed the girl's hand to stop her, but Kota hopped on his lap, hugged his neck, and demanded more drinks. He told her to relax, but she rubbed against his chest like a cat, begging for more as she went full feline. Confused, Tieru called out, clutching his assistant. The maid giggled, covering her mouth, saying he looked funny and he knew his plan failed. Karan screamed for the hero, demanding booze now or she'd start crying. In her dream, Satya vowed to die for her master. Girls crowd the hero's lap, while the boy, tears in his eyes, pleads for help. Waking at dawn, he stared at his hands, shocked to be up so early. He drags himself out of bed, scratches his back, and looks outside, realizing it's about to rain. Shivering, he muttered it was too early for the heater, wishing he had boots on. Then he remembered warm floors, pure bliss. Tenny doubted the plan, already picturing his girls whining while hauling heavy furniture. Leaving the room, he wondered if he should talk to Pimol. He entered the training yard and called the general. The girl turned and asked the host how he was. He apologized, needing help moving things. She smiled, saying it was no problem, soldiers in the hall would help him. Piman boasts her warriors match the capital S elite, and the boy thanks her for the backup. As the main character escaped, the girl wondered his plan, realizing he'd summoned stones again. While men talked in the hall, the boy peeked from the door, cautiously looking around. The MC stepped out and greeted the group, making the guys jump in surprise. The soldiers looked at this guy with fear. He noticed everyone's suspicion, leaving him stunned and speechless. He apologized awkwardly and asked for help with an urgent matter. Everyone dodged his gaze, faking stomach aches or urgent business just to avoid him. Takara begged for help. One man saw him. The long-haired man smiled, pointed at the main character, and got his friend S attention. He knew difficult tasks awaited, but couldn't imagine their true difficulty. Suddenly, a voice sounded behind him. He flinched. Two boys approached the main character, offering help. Takaru thanked the guys for finally responding and asked for their names. Long-haired Gustav replies he's a private. Beside him stands short-haired Private Bams. The main character stated his name, but everyone already knew everything about him. Gustav heard Takaru eats people, but he's actually just a normal guy. The hero insisted he wasn't a monster, and the soldier agreed. Bumps asks why hair broth cures everything. If it's true, he's shaving the guy right now. Takaru replied he'd give them a strand of his hair. The men bowed, grateful. He noticed and asked if they were okay. Bams refused in shame, left completely broken by his last fight. To Kuru, the man smiled, assuring no worry old wounds had just flared. Shaken, he desperately hoped his words were true. Gustav smirked at my master time for business. Karu agreed to explain everything now, and everyone understood. The boys entered his room as he was about to start. "Watch out! We had the men clear the room." The soldiers flexed their muscles, vowing to always have his back. Men finished moving furniture. The MC watched, hands to the floor, cheerfully saying he'd work hard too. Takaru chanted the spell. A glow engulfed him. The furniture bearers shared shocked looks. This is the Fortress Lord's power, so impressive. He figured hot water pipes under the floor spread heat evenly, filling the entire room with warmth. The cold was too brutal, so he planned to open a portal to a tropical land and end the frost forever. Chanting the spell, he realized his insane power and smiled, ready to move on. The young man wiped his brow, thanking the men for their hard work. Soldiers shrugged it off, asking to always trust them with the tough jobs. He thanked them, smiling. Confused, he asked for more work. They agreed but tried to leave, so he stopped them for a quick chat. He asked if they were finished. They shook their heads with no guards around. They'd just eat and sleep. Kiro offered drinks, stunning them with his unexpected hospitality. Characters joked he'd treat them to beer. The soldiers thanked him, their faces flushed with joy. The men sat as the boy prepped the table with snacks and beer. Tara showed them how to open beer, but when they tried, foam exploded from the cans. Men sipped, amazed by the taste, asking what alcohol it was. Zero bitterness. One man claimed he'd lived only for this moment. Blushing, he opened the shark and laughed, thrilled they loved the alcohol. The guys kicked back at the table and started chatting after work. He thanked the crew, but they declined and told him to call if he ever needed more help. The soldier said goodbye, claimed his debt, and prepped to leave. Takaru was happy the men were satisfied and appreciated his efforts. He entered his room, felt the soft carpet, and knelt to rub his face against it. The boy took off his shoes and lay down on it. He went without a rug for ages, and its convenience made him regret not laying it down sooner. Karen questioned the castle owner, but froze in shock after spotting a girl nearby. The girl asks if it's too warm, and the boy instantly agrees. Propped on bricks, the young man replied he'd already set up the heating invention. He added, "See for yourself." He told her to take off her shoes before the carpet. She kicked off her shoes and sat, stunned by the mat's insane softness. The girl gasped, shocked by the intense heat. The boy smiled back and said in his world, this technology was long common. He suggested that pillow it's super comfy on your back. She looked where he pointed, asking if he meant that specific one. Karen settled on the pillow, asking if she was doing it right. The boy nodded, telling her not to rush as she sank her full weight into the cushion. Karen plunged into the abyss, surprised by the feeling. He smiled, asking if she was comfy enough to sleep. Eyes wide and jaw dropped, she agreed it was incredible. The girl replied, the Master-S world has amazing tech and wonders. Felt vividly on the soft pillow. Perron realized this was incredibly convenient. Girl forgets words, then falls asleep. She collapsed onto the pillow, leaving the boy stunned and silent. The main character offered the girl a drink. Kuran, surprised, asks for champagne. He warns her to stay sober, but she insists champagne can touch her. Grabbing a bottle, he called her out for yesterday's behavior. Karan remembers everything, but it changes nothing. So hurry up. Kara refused. The problem came later. She added Karan acted like a spoiled child then, holding a bottle and glass. She sat up shocked, asking if he was joking. Takeru realized her memory was gone. An hour later, everything repeated as yesterday. The girl hugged the boy tight, but he again failed to break free. The tipsy girl gushed underfloor heating was a miracle. He smiled, asking her to release him, truly happy. Karan refused, hugging him tighter and saying she liked his knees. The girl blushed, shyly admitted she was hot, then started undressing. The main character panicked and begged her to stop. The girl took off her shirt, explaining it was hot, and the boy instantly shot up. Karen couldn't remove her sweatshirt, so she asked the MC for help. He just cried, begging for help too. Next morning, the boy woke up and stood inside the house. Rubbing his neck, he remembered last night was a total disaster. He remembered his many indecent acts and flushed with embarrassment. He grew agitated, questioning his thoughts. He remembered his bath. Hot water here takes ages, is complicated, and costs a fortune. His eyes widened when hunger struck. I felt his stomach and realized he skipped breakfast. Since the toilet's fixed, he's finally ready to eat. He grabbed the bell and started ringing for breakfast. He kept mashing the doorbell, confused why no one answered. The young man left, assuming the maid was busy, to check on her. He knocked on Ina's door, but silence met him. He pushed it open and anxiously called for his maid. Surprised by her guest, she asked how he slept, and he greeted her back. Asked about care, he thought of breakfast, rang the bell. The girl apologized, hearing nothing. He was surprised, realizing he'd forgotten I blamed him, shocking the girl. He swapped the drafty doors for airtight ones, making the room so soundproof you can barely hear the bell. Confused, the girl asked him for their next move. Takeru gave a thumbs up, assuring her she didn't need to do anything, he'd figure it out. The girl was confused and didn't understand what he meant. He turned back to the people, asking for their help again. The men again flexed their muscles and confidently assured him they'd help easily. He carefully scanned his surroundings again. He pondered the noise problem, seeking a solution, when an idea struck him. Takeru buzzed with his new invention idea. The MC eyed the new device like an old corded phone and called it an intercom. The boy saw it in the catalog, realizing he could contact me. He'd expected to connect it to both office and bedroom, but kept flipping the catalog as the box swayed from bumps. Satila approached with today's requests, but the boy just smiled and revealed his newest invention, internal communication. She struggled with the word, then asked if he'd thread the rope through the wall to bind them. He corrected him, explaining that inner connection allows long-distance communication, leaving Setu even more shocked. She asked if she could talk to someone through the internal connection. Koru apologized. Unable to justify the complex mess, the upset girl apologized for her impossible request. While he just wanted to run a construction company, not answer calls. The boy raised his head, pondering. He could build radio towers and a radio room. With a telephone exchange, he'd have full communication and even a radio. A girl snaps him out of his thoughts. He says he's fine, deciding it's time to focus on his team. He reopened the catalog, deciding to start small and steady as the girl watched closely. Everything was prepared. The guy was confident it would work, but cautious. He asked the girl to double-check everything. She offered to help, so he told her he was checking the intercom connection. Takaharu explained if the phone rang, pick it up instantly. The girl nervously wondered if she could manage. He calmed her, put the phone to his ear, then explained, "This is how you talk." She was even more surprised. Satya worried she couldn't handle it alone, but the boy just kept his shy grin. The young man ran, yelling his hopes for her. It thrilled the girl, who watched him disappear. Confused, the girl stared at her phone, tensely awaiting the call. He raced to his room, grabbed the phone, and dialed his office, pressing it to his ear. The boy beamed with joy, impatiently smiling, hoping this time it to work. He hesitated, confused why the device wasn't working. Getting no answer, Carrie figured the girl was just confused and kept dialing her over and over. A click rang out, it worked. He cheered and told the machine he was its creator. Static hissed from the phone as he asked if you heard it. A girl's heavy breathing fills the receiver, making the boy's face twist in disgust. Heavy breathing filled the line until the man demanded she speak up. Setsuya was so confused she couldn't tell if his voice was real or just a hallucination. Nervous, the girl heard the phone voice. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Setya listened, inhaled deeply. He coached her to breathe deep, guiding her through every inhale and exhale as she repeated his words to stay calm. He asked if she was calm. Smiling, she replied. She heard him much better now. The main character knew the clear sound meant success. He explained the volume stayed critical, with no obstacles. The girl blushed but gladly agreed, admitting his voice was so clear, it felt like he stood next to her. He called it convenient, and she agreed, finding it easier to talk without seeing his face. She laughed and admitted he was right. She finished the research and thanked the girl, but something caught her off guard. Satya hesitated, asking if they were finished. The boy just smiled and shut his eyes. He says they can still chat, and she's overjoyed. Later, in his office, the guy heard the maid's room phone suddenly ring. Kara answered, asking what happened. A girl's ear-splitting shriek burst from the phone. She couldn't believe it was his voice, making him yank the phone from his ear, startled by the volume. Stunned, he asked who called. The girl replied it was General Irietta Paimon of the Western Corps. Asked if she heard well, Ains glaring behind her. Confused, Takaharu paused, asking the girl what happened. Paimon's assistant never mentioned a connection, so she checked it herself, leaving the guy baffled. The girl said she had a serious talk with him. On the phone, the MC asked what she learned. Paimon's question about internal connections stunned the guy, making him freeze in shock. His magic had skyrocketed, letting him spawn 1,000 monsters, but they'd still be mindless. Girl asked if it was impossible, then they could do everything at once. Boy blushed, annoyed, replied she just rearranged words, but it changed nothing. He snapped that he lacked the magic for both and begged for mercy. Upset, Paimon sighed heavily, saying she understands him. He asked what happened. The girl confessed she wanted him to establish everything. With the full moon nearing, he asked the date. The girl agreed, glaring back resentfully, while Ain nervously chewed her uniform sleeve, wondering how much longer they'd talk. Paimon warns each full moon, a huge monster horde attacks at midnight. The main character grilled the general about the monsters.